additions or corrections, we would entertain those. And if not, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Motion.
Have a motion, support?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Karen, you want to give us a little update on the financials or a little overview?
Okay. So I did, I was just writing this down. I just got an answer about our total. So I'll just give this to you quick. Oh, yeah. This just has, it just has a synopsis of what showed up in our account at the top there. So June, July, August, the totals for the innkeeper's tax that came through. And then the payments that have been made out, the expenditures in this past few months are down there at the bottom. So I'm not sure these reports are kind of different than they were in the past, and so I'm having trouble figuring out the exact dates. But we did have the expenditure of $25,000 for the mural, and then the regular quarterly payment to the CVB, and then the amount that was currently is in our account at the end of August is there written to the right. That's the number I just got from Angie. I wanted to make sure that we had that. Something that I'm going to try to add to this, just it helps me to kind of think ahead for what money we have and what money we promised. This is not up to date. I was just getting some more numbers, clarification from Joe, but some things that we know we will be spending money on are the last quarterly payment for the CVB contract. I'm assuming that the $5,000 goes directly to Team OC for the 175th anniversary, so that will be coming out. Then the CVB additional, those are the numbers that we agreed to provide over the special projects on the budget for this coming year for the CVB, including the America 250, the wayfinding signage, content creator space, and the office renovation. And I can put those numbers on for the next time. And then the commissioners for the bridge. So those are just things to keep in mind of money that we've already promised, especially if grant requests come in. We'll have to consider all that. So I'm not sure what the kind of unallocated balance is. I'm going to have to do a little more work to figure that out, but that's why there's some question marks there. Any questions?
Good job, Kara. Thank you. And I know that's kind of a little bit of a tedious to keep all that track of all that way, the reporting, the way all that has to kind of come in through the county. So I appreciate trying to keep all that straight for us. Thank you very much. Mr. Joe's here, and he's going to give us an update on the CVB and what's going on in his world. And I think he's got some special things he's going to share with us here. Presentation.
A few things to share. Well, I didn't think about the quality on the corduroy wall. So first of all, I guess before I get into anything else, I was going to show you on the screen, but I just provided copies of our yesterday's board agenda and packet. So this is what our board went through yesterday. Thought instead of making something special, we would just include that. So you'll find in this agenda, this packet rather, our contact and our upcoming meetings. Page 11 is the minutes from August 20. So if you want to look over what the CVB's been handling, that was our August 20 approved minutes. And then if you fast forward to page 15, this is the part that you're probably most interested in, and the part that I'm most excited to share is our budget versus actual from January through, it would be through yesterday, but it says through December for this year. So this is our year-to-date spending and allocation think I've been keeping you guys pretty up to date on this, but before I came along, the accounting wasn't completely accurate. So what we did was we have engaged with an accounting firm that we've actually retained under advisement from my board. They passed a motion for us to just work with an outside accounting firm. So we are actually working with them to add another layer of checks and balances in our monthly reporting and reconciliation. So just a quick synopsis, I've got the full-time finance person. So I approve spending, I approve checks, I approve contracts. My in-house finance person then disperses payments and also provides expense reports for each employee and all of that monthly to me for approval. Then we use our outside accounting firm who double checks every line item in our QuickBooks and then reconciles it. I call it a hard reconciliation, but reconciles it to the penny to our Spring Valley Bank account. So if there's any break in reconciliations, that becomes visible to my board in the next meeting. That's all new. That wasn't in place before. So what you see on page 15 is sort of the monthly report that my board gets, and it's my intention to just provide that each month to you all as well, or every other month rather, depending upon your meeting schedule. Then when you fast forward to page 21, this is what I call, from the business world, a balance sheet. I think it's a statement of financial position, but a balance sheet is kind of what I would call 21. Page 21 and 20 through 23 shows sort of basically all those assets and liabilities from a 30,000 foot view. So if you look on top of page 21, those are our current bank account balances. With the only discretion in this report being our Hoosier Hills checking and credit. There is not 2166 or 2412 in there. There is approximately 20,000 in those two accounts. I haven't been added to those accounts yet, so I haven't been able to add them into our QuickBooks. We have a board minutes that will allow me to get added to that, and we're just kind of in the middle of that. It's an account we haven't used for years. I'm going to recommend to my board next meeting that we close those accounts and bring it over to Springs Valley so that everything shows up. But other than that, everything else is accurate and reconciled to the penny, which I am really excited about. I think this is sort of the first time since I've taken over where we know that we've ironed out all of 2024 and 2025 to date. So on the heels of that, we are nearing the completion of our audit. Our board treasurer engaged with a new firm last year to do a comprehensive audit. I won't get into the details unless you have more questions, but prior to this, we were with a firm out of Du Bois County, I believe, that was kind of giving us a rubber stamp audit. And when we talk about some of those issues we've had in the past, I think they were glossed over because our auditing firm was also not digging in. So the board was receiving a report that looked like it lined up, and the audit firm was giving them a thumbs up, and there was no red flag. As we've dug in, I think as I've reported previously, 2024's accounting was very inaccurate. There was a line item for reconciliation discrepancies in there. I think it was an alarming $250,000 ballpark number. We have since gone through all of 2024, and reconciliation discrepancies is now 0. So if I'm referring to that $265,000 number that had showed up on a previous report as reconciliation discrepancies, those aren't dollars that left the CVB. Those were dollars that were just misaccounted. So it's like if a $5,000 invoice went out but was never logged in QuickBooks, that money disappeared out of the bank account, but it was never accounted through our accounting software. So that accumulated over time, and that's how it got to $265,000. Those dollars are not MIA any longer. They've all been coded through our 2024 budget. Our accounting firm, thank you, Audrey, for engaging with them, but they were rigorous. The audit firm was very rigorous. So for us to even think about graduating this audit process, we had to clean up all of 2024. And I'll be honest, I have a call with them this afternoon. They're still talking about how we're going to handle 2023 even. So we may have to go all the way back to 2023 and do a little bit of work. It's been very strenuous, is what I'll say. But I feel very good about 2024. And I have my word on, you have my word on 2025 that we are up to snuff. Now, there are some things, I do want to add a caveat when you go back to the budget versus actual, just being very transparent here. Some of those buckets are full or over full. We're going to go back and look through them and just make sure that they were coded correctly. So when you look at the total at the bottom, that number will not change, but some of these line items we may actually shimmy around a little bit to make sure we're staying under budget in the right line items, and just to be fully transparent with you guys. So that's kind of where we're at on the finance side of things. It's the lesser exciting part of my presentation today, but it's the part that I'm probably most proud of. So if you have any questions about that, this would be a good time for us to Q&A.
Good job, Joe. I appreciate that. I appreciate all your efforts. I know that's been a task for sure, but we appreciate your diligence getting all that straightened out for us. Thank you.
Well, we got a lot of work to do over at the CBB. I have about 2 more folks I want to hire. We have a pretty strategic marketing campaign we want to bite off. I have some office renovations. We're in the middle of this rebranding change, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But I felt it was important to pump the brakes on some of that until we had our house under organization and we had our finances right. I probably could have done like some organizations, or maybe that came before me, and just kicked the can. But I didn't feel comfortable coming in this room with county dollars unaccounted for. So we took care of that first.
We appreciate that very much.
We also included for our board, we're still working on our reporting structure here, but on page 25, you'll see who's who of innkeeper tax reporting, I guess we'll call it. I do ask that you have some grace with this list, because I think this is a list I inherited. I think some of these reporters might not be in business or active under those names anymore. So if you see a bunch of unchecked, some of them might actually have been consolidated or changed hands since. But this is what we've got for now, and until we improve that, we'll continue reporting off of that. And then there's a screenshot at the bottom of 25 that shows basically a look back to April and a look back to 2017, so you can see a little bit of trending in that. I have the full spreadsheet. If you guys ever need it, simply request it. But for our board, we thought the year over year was a good reference, and then sort of that month over month. We like to look at what we did in July versus last July, or May versus last May. And sometimes when those numbers deviate, we call up Audrey or call up the resort and say, hey, what changed, or why did we go down? But luckily, we're trending uphill on just about every report we've seen, so that's good. Tourism is good.
I have a question on this. I obviously don't take this as a priority, but maybe after the first year or something, as you reformat this, it's great to see this quick snapshot of who's reported and paid and who hasn't. But it would also be good if we could come up with a format where we see running total for the year. Or not running total, but running reporting. Mm-hmm. Because I know some of the smaller entities that don't do a lot, they may skip a month.
Yep.
And then as opposed to going back and comparing 5 different reports to say, okay, yeah, we know that, like I think Crazy Horse is gone, or it's still there, but they're not doing anything public. But then to look at, okay, here's one of these small lofts places. Are they just one that doesn't report at all? And then going the step further with that, maybe after the first year is a good time to do it. We go through and if we've got some repeat offenders that aren't,
yep,
that we do a letter from this commission and from the county again, and maybe do it. The last time we did that, we did a push and we allocated funds outside of the normal budget to pay an administrative, and we have that in. We put some extra in our budget to cover that. So the letter would come from the tourism commission, but since we don't have, administrative staff, your staff would send that out. We'll reimburse you for all that. Yeah. We did that about 2 or 3 years ago, probably early 23 maybe. And I think it did get a couple people jump started to do it, reminder to do it more regularly. And I think we probably have a draft of that letter and all that.
It was really just an outline of what the reporting requirements were and trying to encourage them to comply with that.
Snapshot of quoting the statute and the ordinance and what they're supposed to do. And like I said, that the way we did it before, it comes from us, so you're not, quote, looking like the bad guy, but we just use your staff to get it sent out,
Mail it out.
Yeah.
process it for us, and we've got money in the budget to pay for that.
I think that makes sense. I can't pull it up on the screen, but I do have it on my phone here. So we do have, and I'm happy to share this with you all via email. I built a tracker for that, and we even turned it yellow, red, and green. So if they didn't report, it's red. If they did, but it's late, it's yellow.
And that doesn't have dollar amounts on
it. It does not.
Perfect. That's what, yeah, because that's what, we're limited on how we access that part in.
Yes.
So if that thing would be perfect.
That sounds good. Now I will tell you, and I'm new to this side of tourism. A lot of CVBs have access to what's called STR, and it's a report from their innkeepers, collectors, or their providers, I guess, that shows their ADR, like their daily rate and their bookings. We can't use that service in this community because of the number of hotel owners and the percent. There may be a day where I would come and ask for some data that we could use to sort of project high and low times. And I'm not sure who has access. I want to protect the fidelity of that data, but you may plant that seed in the back of your mind as we're trying to talk about targeting marketing. I know we wouldn't want to share this with other hoteliers or the community, but it would be helpful to know where some of these dollars are coming from during certain months for us to be able to target. If we know the resort is full June, July, August, and September, we could turn back some of our marketing, and then we could support our Airbnbs or the Valley Inn or Big Splash or whatever. And I'm just not deep enough into the weeds of the statute to know who can access that, but we may want some of that info back, I guess.
When we went through that a couple of years ago and trying to get a better handle on it, I think the determination from legal and the state, as far as seeing the actual dollar amounts from the individual entities for this commission, that's limited to the treasurer and the president.
Right.
That's the only two. As far as the actual dollars, now I don't know how that all works on, average daily booking rates and all that. That's more of a market thing, I would think. I don't know, but yeah, I mean.
Well, we may just dig into that and see what we can use.
Obviously, if there's something that you should mine out of that, but if there's a cost or something.
Well, we get up against
throw
like
in the
a Visit
budget and see
Indy
what's
or a
there.
Fort Wayne, and they have all these tools, and I'm like, man, that would be
Great,
convenient.
wouldn't it?
So we can kick that down the road certainly. But that's good feedback, Jeff.
But the other thing too, going back on historically, the last time we did one of these campaigns, and I think it was mainly, we had a couple of sore thumbs, and one of them I mentioned is no longer in business. It just flat out refused.
Sure.
And we did get the determination from the county legal and everyone here that it's not really worth spending money to go after that. The big hammer there, or the stick instead of the carrot, is that you guys make sure you're not doing anything for those entities.
They
They're
don't
not
get any kind of
they're not
support.
contributing. They're not contributing to support you. They don't get any support
Absolutely,
from
got to
you.
pay to play.
Absolutely.
So that was, I know, because there was discussion about, civil actions and all that for the dollar amounts involved. Everyone just determined it wasn't worth it.
But they shouldn't be popping up on our website.
Yes,
if,
absolutely.
if they're not paying their dues like everyone else.
Absolutely.
No, that's great feedback. I think initially we had put that in our report. We have some older eyes on our board that said it was too hard to read. So I think there's a fine line, but we'll make sure to include a look back or a historical in the next report.
No, and yeah, obviously, if it's going to be a lot of work, you got more important things in play.
It's all work. So transitioning a little bit to maybe more of the feel-good part of it. Starting on page 27, you'll see a snapshot of what we did last week. So myself and my staff were out from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. with film crews on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of last week. And it was a very exhausting week, but I think we were able to participate in something that maybe hadn't been done like this in this destination for a long time. And we captured some new footage. So the basement, that organization that we had a large contract with, when I renegotiated our budget, I carved out, I took away some of their consulting fees and I added in media. So with that came 4 visits from a film crew and a photo crew to our destination. The first visit was last week. We're going to try to get them back in the wintertime, and then 2 more times in 2026. But what you see in 27 through the end of the packet is kind of a snapshot of the photography. These are just, they took 13,000 photos while they were here. So these are 150 of what looked better, and we're going to actually take 30 of them and send them off for photoshopping and get them out to the partners. We chose the indoor water park, the golf course, and the lake area as our emphasis this time. And really where that came from was, speaking objectively, those are our 3 biggest leisure draws at this moment, and that's where we needed our collateral. That's where we're hungriest for some photos and some video. I think our next time down, we're going to focus a little bit on like holiday and winter and hopefully on the peaks. And then those next 2, we're really wanting to get out into the community and highlight some of the things that are off the beaten path. I mean, we've got a lot of resort photos. There's a lot of pictures of the dome. It's beautiful, it's great, it's attractive, but I think we've got some assets in this community that might appeal to a nature traveler, a hiker, a biker, that sort of thing. We're wanting to really bring that in. So this is kind of just a snapshot of what we were doing with that. I was really impressed. Like on 31, we had some lake shots. We got the wine thing kind of in there. That's big for the moms, I think, right now. And then golf. Golf is kind of blowing up, and I'll say all I should say on the record. I think our resort property does a great job of marketing it, but I think there's a piece of the pie that the CVB can carve out and talk about a leisure golfer, and that can include anything from a putt-putt course to that new Sand Creek course to Green Acres to even Sultan's Run and some stuff right outside the county. But I think we want that golfer to consider bringing his best friends or maybe his wife and family when they come to town, and we want to try to capture that golfer that doesn't really care what they spend when they come play a $600 round of golf. We want to show them we got some other things to do in French Lick too. So I said in French Lick, and we've unveiled some new branding here on the front. This timeless French Lick thing is what we're getting behind, but at the same time we're trading a lot of social media and consulting services, even like the 175 at the courthouse. We were involved, and we helped Priscilla do some programs and some marketing. I'm walking this fine line right now. We want people to come for French Lick, and we want them to stay for Hoosier hospitality. So we're teasing this out a little bit, and we're testing it. So far, people from outside are looking at some of our branding, and they're saying, "Oh, this makes sense." But we don't want Paoli, Orleans, and even Williston, Patoka Lake. We don't want these places to get lost in the marketing of things. So I want this to be an open dialogue. As you see something or you want to pick back a little bit, please feel free to do that. That being said, I have a couple commercials that we wanted to tease with you guys, and I don't know what it's going to look like on the screen, but it's all right with you guys. I might shut the lights off.
Sure.
See how these show up. That's a little better. So this first one here, we filmed at the water park, and like I said, we want people to know when they come to our destination that it's all right to slow down. One of the things that we've been hearing a lot is when they go to Holiday World or Disney World, and these are on our focus tests and our market research, families are getting tired of going somewhere where they have to plan out their time by the minute. So we think in French Lick, literally there's a lot of places in Orange County you don't have cell phone signal. You kind of have to slow down. We're going to capitalize on that. So this commercial is talking a little bit about how you don't have to get a fast pass to hang out when you come to our destination.
If you're gonna take the kids to an amusement park on vacation, a water park feels like the right level of amusement.
Kind of looks like you falling asleep there, Jeff. Very good. So it's hokey and it's funny and it's cheesy, but the idea is
if you're gonna
Dad's
take
not
the
stressed
kids
out
to
when
an
he's coming to
amusement park
vacation
on
in Orange
vacation,
County.
a water park feels like the right level of amusement.
So we got Dad sleeping, but we made sure and we we put a lifeguard over here so that nobody's afraid that dad's passed out at the pool and kids playing around. We also understand that a lot of moms are the ones planning vacations. We know that sometimes mom and dad don't agree on vacation, and they might have a little bickering in their home sometimes. We wanted to present a dad that was relaxed. There's a little bit of market research and some psychology that goes into this, but that's one spot that we came up with. It's not final. The voiceover is just our in-house voiceover. But we kind of like it. Any feedback on that one?
I think it's cute.
So then going with the same sort of, you're going to see some similar.
The healing waters of French Lick have welcomed visitors for a century. Of course, now we have wine.
Said the healing waters of French Lick has brought folks here for a century. Of course, now we have wine. This is a similar take, but it's a little different.
The healing waters of French Lick have welcomed visitors for a century. Of course, now we have wine.
I think this is the one we actually chose because it still has her face. We actually filmed this at Tucker Lake. So we're kind of talking about Patoka Lake. We're talking about winery. We're talking about relaxation. But we found out that Tucker Lake it just had the right combination of dock, peninsula, and all those things. So we got them down there and talked with the folks at the Park Service, and I think we're all on the right page about how we can market it and all of that. So we really liked that. It kind of showcases a different part of our community, and it starts to open the door for I'll speak kind of frankly, a non-resort experience, I think, and we've got that opportunity to show that off. So you'll see similar branding, you'll see similar ways that we close that off. Now that was a 15-second commercial. For every 15 that we've been working on, we've also got a 6-second. So when you Google how to braise short ribs in the oven, and you go to that YouTube link, and it makes you watch 6 seconds of a video before you can click through, that's where we're sticking this guy. So no words, nothing like that, but we're pushing that brand and we're pushing a snippet of that. So we're building a 6-second commercial that we can force in them, and that costs us some money. But when I look at the money that we've spent historically on, dare I say the word global marketing, we think that we can very efficiently put this 6 seconds into a northwest Chicago suburb where we've already seen traction to our community, and we can just remind them of who we are. So I think we're going to spend quite a bit of money on this type of marketing, but the money that we're spending is more of a precise approach rather than that shotgun approach. So we're really trying to put the right message in the right hands. I think what I'm most excited about is these golf commercials. Now, I'm not a golfer, but I think we created some spots. This is one of these 6 seconds. I think we created some spots that will grab some people's attention. Just a good look up at the Pete Dye. I mean, the background is gorgeous up there. We thought it would be cool. I guess if you know something, who golfs in this room? You golf? Yeah. If you know something about Pete Dye, you can recognize these volcano bunkers from a mile away. So we're actually running this commercial in markets where there are Pete Dye courses, and we're targeting people's smartphone ads. So if they've jumped to Greenbrier, or they're this is where it's outside of my realm of understanding, but if they're up in Michigan or they're one of these golf course communities and they're actually playing one of those courses, while they're sitting and waiting on their tee time, we're going to show them this. Well, they're already thinking about golf, and let them know that French Lick's got some volcano bunkers too. So we're pretty excited about that. Again, that was a 6-second guy. This one was really unique, and my Martin County farm background came involved in this one. You'll see why here in a second. So we actually made a rig, and I can show you the picture, but we set up some tables and redneck engineering, if you will. That's a 6-inch piece of PVC that we gorilla taped the camera to the bottom of. And we had some turf on top, and we would knock that ball in. It would land, and then we had these two goobers that we had for our talent stick their head over it. The goal behind this is you've probably never seen that commercial before. I don't think anybody has, because even the people we were talking to that helped us film it said, "Can we do this?" And I said, "I think we can do it. We're paying you enough. Let's figure it out." So, kind of silly, but it talks to the golf bros and it grabs your attention. I think it's memorable. And we've got another 6-second. You already saw that one. We've got another 6-second here. It's just a wider shot. So that's on the golf. We got some 15 seconds here on the golf. And we go into some humor here.
Golf, like most good things in life, is best enjoyed when you take your time.
So the ball, he finally hits the ball and it just goes right up. So yeah, take your time. Now I'm going to tell you that I'll save that for after we watch a couple more. This is just a longer version of that. This is a 15-second version. But we make sure that our new logo lands at the same place every time and signs off every time, so that people are starting to draw this new brand with this notion of where they are when this happens.
Golf, like most good things in life, is best enjoyed when you take your time.
So again, you're expecting to see PGA level golfers on a PGA level course, but we're actually trying to say, you know what, you can bring your buddy, you can get away from life, you can slow down. It's all right if you miss the putt. This differs just a little bit with, I think, maybe the French Lick Resorts marketing strategy, and that's okay. I think they are talking about a luxury golf experience, and we're carving out a space where maybe this can be your getaway or your buddy's trip or something you can do while the wife and kids are at the water park. That's the story we're wanting to tell. We'll make that one. We'll bring it back to these guys at the end of that one. So the idea is you're having a good time. Then we've got a 30-second here. And this 30-second, you see a lot more golf investment because the Korn Ferry Tour is coming here for their championship here in 3 weeks. We've got 10 spots on the Golf Channel that come with our major investment for the event. So my goal was, how can we carve a space in this national platform to give the CVB a little bit of visibility? So that's why you see a little bit more golf this time. Probably be the last of the golf you see outside of this campaign for a while.
It's not up there.
Oh, it looks good on my screen. Thanks. So this is a 30-second that we are going to present to the resort to try to get on the Golf Channel during the Korn Ferry.
Does it take patience to wait on your buddy who's having an off day to finally make solid contact? Well, sure. But what are we in such a rush for anyway?
I've been calling this the camel shot. I really like how that closes up. The guy starts off, he's excited, he gets his practice swing in, he takes another practice swing.
Does it take patience to wait on your buddy who's having an off day to finally make solid contact?
The guy checks his time. Come on.
Well, sure.
And he smacks the thing. And you see the guy nodding in the background. So they're clearly having a good time. And that's kind of the story that we want to tell. And like I said, I don't anticipate a lot of pushback, but I'm sorry about that, Karen. I will say that the resort did tell us, they said, we want a professional level golfer in our commercial. And I said, I know. But there's a lot of guys that like to drink beer and hang out at Legends that also come play on your course. So
I like this a lot because every other golf channel and PGA TV commercial is just that.
Yep.
It's the pro dude.
Yep.
That's really good. Plus, I can write. I've been both.
Exactly. And I think your Sunday afternoon couch golf watcher is going to see this, and I think it's going to stand out different than the Titleist commercial or the Greenbrier commercial. And that was my goal with this, but I'm open to critical feedback. I'm actually really excited about getting these things on national television. I don't think the CVB's done that before, and I think it's going to give us an opportunity to carve some space, and hopefully I come back here in a year and you're looking at that innkeeper's thing. You said, hey, Joe, you did something right. So that's the goal. That's all I've got.
Super nice, Joe. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Any questions for Joe or comments? Thank you, Joe, as always, for all that you're doing and all that you're going to continue to do for Orange County. So we appreciate each and everything that you're doing for Orange County as a whole. So.
I heard you might
Hats
want to
off.
do it for 2 more years.
Yeah, we might. Come on, hats off, Stetsons. But hats off to you for all that you're doing. Okay. All right, a couple other things real quickly. I know we had a little bit of discussion back and forth about maybe some verbiage or a little bit of updating in the grant application. Was that right, Kara? We wanted to kind of we tweaked a little something. I know maybe Brandy had some comments and thought we could clarify a couple points. Is there anything on that we needed to?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it was just the being clear about what it meant. I don't have it in front of me, but what the reference to the public meant. And that wasn't for grant applicants, that was for the event itself.
Okay.
So just to make that clarification, and I can send it out again with that corrected,
I've
but
got what you proposed, the new
Yeah.
paragraph, so it's just one particular section that
Yeah.
we tweaked a little bit.
that the events are supposed to be open to the public without discrimination,
Yeah,
rather than, so just, and I think maybe we just need to separate that sentence from that paragraph so it's really clear that, because the first part is talking about the applicants, and then that statement is really referring to the event itself. Like if it is an event, it needs to be open to the public without any discrimination.
for just a little tweaking of the language.
Technically, we voted to approve
Yes.
it
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
So
I think we need to do it.
Vote.
We do have a little bit on the event sponsorships, Joe, just a question we need a little bit of clarification. I think Randy, I'll let her kind of take that.
Yeah, so Joe, I think, and I don't think this is a huge problem. I think it probably needs just a little bit of clarification. We had an organization reach out to us about the granting process and one of the awards. I think the total amount of grant request was $5,000. There was a $1,000 award, which is ACH transferred, but there was also a $500 advertisement that said, well, we're going to give you $500 in advertisement. And I think that has, I don't really know what the clarification is for that, or if this entity wanted that or needed it. They may have their own advertisement stuff. So I think that they were somewhat put off by, what does that really mean? Whenever I don't know how it's worded in your grant process, but I do know the correspondence through email was still somewhat confusing for the grant applicant. And I think that sometimes, was that in the grant applications? Like, okay, we're going to consider you for advertising that you didn't ask for, and we're going to take it out of your grant award.
Mhm.
And then my thought on that is don't we have a budget for community exposure? So if the CVB was going to promote, wouldn't that come out of that bucket, because that's what they're supposed to do, as opposed to taking it away from the grant application folks. So I just really need a clarification on, is there even an option? And how does that work? And are the grantees aware up front? So, and then we can talk more in detail, of course. I just think maybe a clarification. And again, I'm not really into your business or how you run things, but when it's brought to the attention, I think, well, we need to probably talk about it.
No, that's fair. So to speak a little bit on that, I think, so how we handled it this year is we released the RFPs. We have a brand new system, so there were some hiccups along the way, but I think that the fidelity of the application process is far improved from what it was in the past. With that came some growing pains. Then the applications all went to our committee. So we have a sponsorship committee for our board. I think it's made up of, it's made up of 5 folks. And they reviewed every application. So we had a scoring rubric, and then they brought that rubric score to a common table, and they met in office, and they went through each line item. So some grants were denied, some grants were fully funded as written, and some grants were funded contingent. I believe it sounds like you're talking about one of them that was partially funded contingent, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but the discussion, there were like 3 of them that were like that, and the discussion in committee was first and foremost, how does it meet the RFP process, and then there's some weighting with, does it have a tourist impact? Does it bring an overnight? And I think for like an event sponsorship, that's not super heavy. Like tourism impact, you have to have room stays attached, but for the event sponsorship, that's kind of like bonus. And then the last component of that was the committee's review over the effectiveness of the marketing. So there were, I think, 3 where the committee said we're a little concerned about how the marketing plan and the application reads, I guess, and its effectiveness to attract folks both within the county and from outside the county. And on those 3 applications, the committee provided us that language for our email that said, you're funded at this amount, and then we would like to provide $500 of marketing efforts to the event. What I'm hearing you say is, it sounds like the applicant would have preferred to just had 1,500 rather than the 1,000 plus 5.
Yeah, I think so. And then one of the other things is the follow-up that says that the funds go to Meta, which is Facebook, but also that the entity would have to create the event, make the committee or someone at the CVB a co-host. You know, I think that's kind of intrusive.
Oh, okay.
Somewhat. I mean, and maybe it's not really meant to be, but I just feel like if maybe they need it. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying maybe some grantees really do need that, and I think maybe some don't. Like, is there an option?
We
for
took
that to be considered?
that practice from some other CVBs, and it's pretty common practice when a CVB sponsors an event to ask to be the co-host so that they can see like attendance and pixel data. And we're actually, like if we're a co-host on the event, we can insert a pixel on our website and see how many people go to our website after clicking on that event. So that's just a marketing best practice thing. Now, did we clearly communicate that? Probably not.
And that's probably where the rub is.
Sure.
And the option.
Sure. No, that's good to know. I'd be curious to continue to have some conversation around this, because that's the first I'm hearing about it, but I think it brings some good feedback to us, especially as far as communicating our role in the event.
And we understand too, the whole grant process was revamped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is much improved in that part. Having participated in all the previous grant rounds, I think that the foundation and the stuff that you put in and build in will be better served going forward.
That's super helpful feedback, though.
Yes.
if we're creating pain points in the community, we need to know about it because our goal is really just to amplify and uplift. So that's really great feedback.
And I think too, on the timeline on this one, I think that it looks like the email correspondence was 3 weeks from the event too. I mean, that's a pretty short one, and $500 can go a long way to a grantee that they may find, and it's perception, it's public perception, right? I mean, they may find that $500 is better going in a different direction. And I think that the autonomy of it, or the choice of it, is probably where we're. And then understanding in the beginning, this is what this means, and then it's not an issue whenever it's awarded or not awarded.
That's super helpful. We've got a few points like that we're going to have to include in our RFP next year. I've realized with increasing the accountability, we also have to really increase the education. I think certainly the optimist in me underestimated the amount of intense support that would probably be needed as we raise the bar. So this is helpful.
Yeah, and that was it. And like I said, I feel like if there's this is a kink. I mean, the overall system is probably much improved.
Yeah.
Just a small kink.
Yeah, we never get perfect. This is helpful.
Okay. Is there any old business? Anybody know of anything old business that we need to take up? Not, I'm going to move into the new business, which really is the renewing of the contract between this body, the County Tourism Commission, and the CVB. You have before you the proposed agreement between those two bodies, and we are proposing today a 2-year contract. There are no changes in language or any of the verbiage. This is the exact contract that was signed a year ago for a 1-year term. The only change is that this reflects that this contract will commence January 1, 2026, and it continues through December 31st, 2027.
On that note, there are references to next negotiation and all that, so those will have to be updated as well. I forget what line it's in. Yeah, so line 7 will need to be updated, and everything else pertinent to an exact time frame and date needs to be done.
I need to take that back and have that correct.
Yeah. Actually, no, that one's correct. You already did this.
Yeah, I think I got that.
Yeah, this is not, okay. The version I handed out to everybody
Yeah, that was the
else
previous.
is the old one. So, yeah, no,
Make
yours
sure
is
all that's
right,
correct.
but it looks right, yeah, because it'd go through the end of 2027. So you've got that correct, that we would need to start right around June 15, 2027 on the next one. So, yeah, you're right. I didn't realize you had already updated.
And I did provide all the commission members a copy of this, and I think I also copied Heather on that as well.
I went through it last night.
Are there any questions, any comments, anything in regards to the agreement that we have before? All right, the chair would certainly entertain a motion to approve this agreement for a 2-year contract for the CVB.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor to that effect. Do I hear support?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right. Thank you very much. That's one of the important things that we have on our itinerary today, and I'm glad to get that taken care of. So, and Joe, again, I know we've kind of expressed that, I hope, but we certainly appreciate all that you've done, and I believe the CVB is in a very good place. I think more good things are going to come. So I commend you for your efforts and all that you're doing to lead the team down there. So thank you. And Audrey and Heather, we appreciate your contributions as well and your board. All right. Is there any other items, any other matters of business that need to come before this commission?
Next meeting will be November 20th.
November 20th. If you're like me, you'll be happy to know that's our very last meeting, 2025. Then we take a little break and we'll reconvene and reorganize back in January. So our next meeting will be just before Thanksgiving on the 20th. So, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have a motion. Support?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, let's turn off
This
the
meeting
thing.
stands adjourned.
Let's turn the recording off.
Hit the button.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.